Hey everybody, True Ding Dong here. What is up, my ding dongs? This is your boy, True Ding Dong.
Where would you have been right now if I was never in your life?
Truediltom, also called Dylan, and we'll call him Dylan from now on. Now, who is this character, Truediltom?
Well, we're gonna get right into that today. But first, let us just vibe a little, Just chill out on the camera. You guys vibing with me right now? Good.
Truediltom was a right-wing YouTuber who is active since 2016, and he made possible and popularized a new movement that can be defined as neo-absolutism, which is a worked-upon form of Otto von Bismarck. He had himself many tens of thousands of subscribers, and he was very popular in the right-wing sphere, and still to this day, he's very respected. Anybody within the internet right wing knows who this guy is. At the start of his focus was mostly focused on Hans Hermann Hoppe, the issue of Rothbardian capitalism, the issue of democracy. He started looking into more traditionalistic politics, such as monarchy, and people like Spengler and Evola. But the concern here, and little by little the decline, is his focus on markets. Dylan studied university economics, and he even bragged that he had a lot of contacts within this sphere of people. But his focus started being on somebody completely different. And he covered a person named David Graeber quite a lot, which is an anarchist economist that believes that in the early civilization there was no such thing as financial transaction, meaning money, for example, and that was never necessary. You can just change goods and you'll be happy. This is a very popular anarchist belief. They believe that human nature or human idea in the beginning was without any currency or any sort of overall transaction, which would make anarchism a possible ideology, and Truediltom covered it and supported this ideology for some reason. In the philosophy forms, he started looking into Deleuze, and anyone who starts looking into Deleuze gets insane. But in his metaphysical analyzing, he started looking into generative anthropology, which I will talk a lot more in detail. Generative anthropology is the idea that the original language came from a singular event, and in particular is something we started to mimic. This singular event, the reason why we mimic it is because it is sacred. It is something above human understanding. And that language came from this, and we try to mimic this sacred idea. You can imagine it along these lines. A group of humanoids have surrounded a food object, the body of the large mammal following a hunt. The attraction of the object, however, exceeds the limits of a simple appetite due to the operation of group mimesis, essentially an expression of competition or rivalry. The object became more attractive simply because each human of the group finds it attractive. Each individual in the group observes the attention that his rival gives the object. Actual appetite is artificially inflated through this mutual reinforcements. The power of appetitus mimesis in conjunction with the threat of violence is such that central objects begin to assume a sacred aura, infinitely desirable and infinitely dangerous. Now, this idea has been built upon and worked on to not just be about the sacred in the material world, but the sacred outside the material world, which is the sacred of God. I have argued against this quite a lot of times, at least the new interpretation of generative anthropology, particularly with someone named Imperius. But Imperius argued against natural law, which is something I support, and says that there cannot be a thing as science because language is not objective. You can't explain something in the natural world because you do not have language that is objective, that can explain something. How can you have a sort of a rational, quote-unquote, rational objective understanding of the world? How can you even have a science that says something is if the words describing it is subjective? Nothing can be 100% if the language you use is not 100%. And this is the argument. So he claims that language must have come from some sort of either higher intelligence, as Gans says, but Gans points out that it's a higher intelligence within another humanoid species, or our own humanoid species, but someone is just smarter than the other. But they claim it could be from an alien, which is of higher intelligence, or from a god. And many of them do say it's God that gave language, because if God have given language, then language is subjective, because there's an objective core to the language. And if there's an objective core, then you can talk about science, then you can talk about the natural world around you, and you can describe it to 100%. Now, while this is an interesting thought experiment, it is not the natural world. And there are many flaws with this. And they described the first civilization, Mesopotamia, as being created by a god, in particular because of numbers. Previously, to count the sheep, it was 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and that's how many sheep you had. You had 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 sheep. But with the Mesopotamians, you didn't have that. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever it was, meaning they had a counting system, which didn't exist previously. How could they have created a counting system if there was never such a thing as a counting system before? And this is what they're trying to understand. And in particular, how did it go so quick? How did it go from 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 to an actual counting system? Well, there has to be God intervention. God has to come down and give them language or letters or whomever did, because it can't be that quick. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, me, 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 me. This is so stupid, you know. But the thing is, this is important. This is important for his downfall, because the person who gave him this idea, his name is Imperius. And Imperius, he's not original with his ideas. He stole this from Eric Gans and remade it and plagiarized it. But still, this is the downfall of Truediltom.
I know I always come off so much harsher in text. I'm not actually angry at you. I understand why you would feel sort of pissed off at what I was doing, where I was just sort of.
I'm not pissed off. I don't feel angry.
Well, choose the right. Well, choose a lesser word then. Choose a lesser word, like annoyed or something. Like annoyed that I'm sitting there just idly criticizing you in your own fucking Discord and saying he's lazy and negligent and disrespecting you guys. Like, what man with any balls wouldn't be annoyed by that? So, like, I totally understand that.
I don't really want your approval, Josh, to be honest. Like, I don't really take you as seriously as, like, other people do. I don't really care that you think that I'm not... It doesn't wound me when you say that.
Well, my object is not to wound you. I'm just having an objective, fair assessment that I could understand where you're coming from, that you could be annoyed by that, right? Like, any man with any self-respect would be annoyed that here's this guy criticizing him on his own turf. But like, there were so many fucking times where you were not present for your own guys, and here I am answering their questions.
Imperius, or Josh, as we can also call him, is an older gentleman in his, I think, 40s, and he's very abusive. He enters young men's lives, discords, or areas of communication, and try to dominate them, or, well, what he defines as more teach them, guide them, but it's an act of domination. And this is how Josh makes a living. He has quoted in the past that the way he pays for his bills is through undergraduate students giving him money for mentoring. And Truediltom, sadly, having quite lacking self-esteem, did fall for the trap of the manipulative mentor.
Nobody is attacking you for being behind in this way or being younger than us. Like, nobody's attacking you for that. It's just that take the right moral disposition relative to the people next to you.
So when you raised that question, though, of like, where would I be without you? That's including like Morris.
I didn't say that. I actually
didn't
say that exact thing. I said, where would you intellectually be? Where would you ideologically be? I'm not trying to say that you don't exist or have any self-respect absent me.
Like, I just don't understand how, like, you putting me onto other people who are the source providers of that material means that I should pay you and not them.
I actually am not even wanting to be paid. I just noted the fact that your instincts never made you feel that that
Yeah.
was something that you should maybe do. That's all. It wasn't that actually I needed it. Yeah, you seem to have camaraderie with your audience. I mean, like I didn't even want to get involved with this shit. Like when I first joined your server, I wasn't even trying to be some sort of tyrant. I just wanted to get in, and the P grabber guy didn't know who I was, and then of course you were being characteristically absent.
Audio speaks for itself very clearly. I don't have to say too much more. And I've spoken to Imperius. That shit doesn't work on me. Spoken to a few of his people that it's honestly just a sad case of an absolute piece of shit. And Josh, I know you're gonna listen to this. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, it's an interesting part of history, and I'm gonna remember it. Sadly, it's not fully over yet.
To ask if anybody out there would be able to give me a job. So yeah, guys, just putting out there, thought I might as well give it a try.
Can someone give me a job, please? This was the lowest point I would say Truediltom ever ended up in. Asking his audience for any type of job, anywhere in the world, he's willing to do it. And the worst part was, if you wrote to him, yeah, I would love to help you out something. It wasn't Truediltom who answered, it was a man named Kenneth. And in a sense, this is another, one can define as an abuser. There were some higher right-wing YouTubers who sort of asked him, yeah, sure, let me help you. And having that, all right, talk to me, write to me, and I will fix it for Dylan. It's like, who the hell are you? Why are you talking in his stead? He's an adult male. Why the hell are you talking? And he's somebody also in his 20s. He has removed his comment. He even removed a comment he wrote to me because I asked Dylan if he wanted at least to write an article. I could give him some shekels for that. And he's like, oh, yeah, talk to me and give me your detailed information so I can contact Dylan for you. It's like, who the... Get the hell out of here. But there's a positive outcome of the story. Even though this was the lowest point, Dylan actually did get a job in Kiev, Ukraine. As me looking around here also shows that he had to flee to Poland from Lviv with a bus. So yeah, he was in Kiev during the start of the war. And he got the possibility of traveling around Europe for a bit. So it was good. Hopefully now he's in a much more better state. Hopefully now he's not being abused by Josh or Kenneth. And he can stand up for himself, which is the issue here. This is a very intelligent man with very low self-esteem asking for help, meaning mentoring. And the mentors turn out to be crap. I mean, and this is a hard part of life. Is when you ask for help with a mentor, you have to be lucky that the mentor is good. And sometimes it's very hard to bash back on your mentor because they're supposed to be your mentor. They're supposed to be the ones who are right. And what if they're wrong? It's a cautionary tale. And Dylan, I do hope you're doing well. I hope the video wasn't too flumsy. It was a little bit flumsy in my opinion, but it started as wanted to focus on Generative Anthropology to focusing to you. So yeah, Dylan, I hope you're doing well, man, and hope we can talk again in the future. Take care, man, and I wish you the best of luck, man. I know you will do fine.